Thanks for joining us tonight on another episode of The Racing Report. My name is Rob Peeters, and I am your host once again for another fabulous little half hour where we're going to talk all things motorsports. Because if you like motorsports, that's probably why you're watching this very show. But you're going to be very excited this upcoming week because we've got tons and tons of different races, racing series, all in action all across the world this weekend. But that's not all, because this most recent weekend, last weekend, we had a couple of monumental events go down in the world of NASCAR and in the world of Supercars, with people getting their first wins, manufacturers getting their first wins, lots to talk about on this week's show. So, for that reason, if you like the show, please remember you can follow me on social media by looking up at rpeeters33. That's RPEETERS 33. And then remember, you can also get brand new episodes of The Racing Report each and every week by downloading that handy-dandy little WTHR Plus app onto your smart TVs and making sure you're subscribed to WTHR on YouTube. So, without further ado, let's go ahead right now and jump right on into the news of Formula One. And as we've been talking about, lots of team shakeups going on so far after just 3 races in Formula One so far this season. But we learned this past week that Max Verstappen's race engineer, Gianpiero Lambiase, is going to leave Red Bull after his contract ends at the end of 2028, and he's going to join McLaren, and in that role he will report directly to McLaren team principal Andrea Stella. Now, apparently this is expected to go down, like I said, at the end of 2028. However, McLaren appears to want to try and work something out with Red Bull where maybe Gianpiero could join that team a little bit earlier than 2028, but as of right now, Max Verstappen, seemingly, at least according to his father Jos, is okay with this move. Again, maybe adding more and more rumors to his potential retirement. I don't know. Maybe we're looking too much into it. Who knows? We'll talk about this, I'm sure, later on this year if more comes of it. But for now, let's talk about some other Formula One news, because reigning F1 Academy champion Dorian Pan says that Mercedes is preparing to give her a test in an F1 car after impressing them with her simulator duties. Now, it's also important to note that Pan has said specifically that she has not yet had a seat fitting, but it does appear that she is heading toward a possible F1 test with Mercedes in the near future. Congratulations to her. Obviously a great talent. She did great in the F1 Academy last year. Absolute dominant season. And she deserves, I think, at the very least, an opportunity to test an F1 car. Now, speaking of Mercedes and speaking to The Athletic, Toto Wolff recently revealed in an interview that he was fully prepared to fire both Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg following their clashes in the 2016 F1 season. So that was a full decade ago, and now Toto Wolff has told The Athletic that he was fully planning to fire them if they didn't stop their clashes, stop running into each other, stop with the infighting and whatnot. It's a very interesting article by The Athletic. Highly recommend checking it out if you'd like to read more. But final piece of news for the Formula One news of the week is that the FIA has announced that Formula 2 rounds will be added to both the Miami and Canadian Grand Prix weekends following the cancellation of the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix last month. It will be the first time that F2 has ever raced in North America. So a big update there to that. I know we talked about it in previous Racing Reports episodes as this being a possibility, and we have now gotten confirmation within the last week that indeed this is happening. And of course, it had to drop on Thursday, the day after we recorded last week's Racing Report episode. Can't win them all. Sometimes you just gotta wait. Is what it is. But that is a great segue into our next topic of news today, because in the IndyCar world, we've got some Indy 500 entry list updates again that we're going to be talking about. And as a result of the addition of Miami and Montreal to the Formula 2 calendar, Andretti says that Colton Herta will not enter the 2026 Indianapolis 500, and the team will instead focus on its current 3-car effort of Will Power, Kyle Kirkwood, and Marcus Ericsson. So we're closing that gap. Colton Herta will not be in Indianapolis at the end of May. He will instead be in Montreal for the Formula 2 round at the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, on that note, we've also been keeping up with the efforts and what's going on with PREMA's IndyCar team. Well, Racer dropped a bombshell article this past week saying that PREMA is not expected to enter the Indianapolis 500 this May after missing the opening 4 races of the IndyCar season. Racer says that the engines that were being held and reserved for PREMA will now likely be released and go to the Able Motorsports entry that we've talked about. Able Motorsports has all but basically confirmed that Jacob Able will indeed attempt the Indianapolis 500 coming up in just about over a month's time. And it also seems to indicate once again that there will be a third AJ Foyt entry for the Indianapolis 500. Now, who that driver is still up in the air. As of right now, AJ Foyt Racing has not confirmed anything. It doesn't seem like they're ready to yet. It doesn't seem like if this is going to happen that they're ready to announce anything yet. But as we've reported previously on the show, it is highly expected that Katherine Legge could slot in and be the 33rd entrant to the Indianapolis 500 because, again, she has sponsorship backing with Elf Cosmetics. I think that's how it's pronounced. I keep wanting to do ELF. I don't know. I'll ask my wife. But Katherine Legge does have sponsorship from Elf Cosmetics, and she does have manufacturer ties with Chevrolet, which means that she would likely be in a Chevrolet entry. Anyway, so we're kind of putting 2 and 2 together here, and it's assumed that Katherine Legge will likely take over that third AJ Foyt racing car if and when it gets announced. But again, all of this is still hearsay at this moment. Take it again with a grain of salt. But again, we have been reporting this exact same thing the last several weeks. Racer's been reporting it. Motorsport.com has been reporting it. A lot of major IndyCar reporters are reporting this exact same thing. So we'll continue to monitor it as we get ready for the month of May. But let's talk about other IndyCar news on the docket. IndyCar has altered its Fast 6 qualifying format for the street course races of during the rest of the year and probably for next year and years beyond. They are taking the Fast 6, which is the final round of qualifying, pole qualifying, and taking that from a group qualifying effort and making it single car entries now. So remember, they did that a couple of weeks ago at Arlington with the Arlington Grand Prix, where they were doing single car qualifying for the Fast 6, and now they have said, okay, we're going to change the rule. We're going to do this at all street courses going forward. So just something to pay attention to this weekend at Long Beach. If you're watching qualifying and wondering, why are they doing one at a time? This is how it's going to be done on street courses only. It's going to remain group qualifying in the Fast 6 for road courses, but for street courses, it will be single car qualifying only. Also in the world of IndyCar, IndyCar has named Mike O'Gara as its new Vice President of Competition Race Engineering. O'Gara will leave Chip Ganassi Racing after 12 years and oversee the technical side of IndyCar's rulebook, and he's filling the role that was previously held by Bill Pappas, who left in the offseason to join Dale Coyne Racing as Roman Grosjean's engineer. Final 2 pieces of IndyCar news now here before we go on and take our first break of the show. But due to the unfinished state of the 2028 engine rules, IndyCar says it will begin testing prototype versions of its next chassis, the IR28, this summer with the current engine model. So it's expected that they'll go from a 2.2-liter V6 engine to a 2.4-liter V6 engine when these new regulations come out. But as of right now, they haven't solidified exactly what those regulations are going to look like. So they're going to test the upcoming new chassis that's expected to be used beginning in 2028 with the old engine formula. So some interesting news to talk about there as IndyCar continues to work through how it's going to continue to evolve its on-track product. And finally, on that note, IndyCar representatives reportedly visited Ayrton Senna International Circuit in Guyana, Brazil last Friday as the series evaluates a possible return to the South American country for the first time since 2013 when they were in Sao Paulo. It's been a very long time since the IndyCar series has been in Brazil. Of course, there's a large following of Brazilian fans down there. We had a lot of Brazilian drivers the last time the series was there with, Tony Kanaan, Helio Castroneves, guys like that. They were still running full time, but of course, a lot of those have since retired and or in Castroneves' case, semi-retired. But either way, some very interesting news there. Could we see an IndyCar return to Brazil? Now, this specific article, which came out on motorsport.com, did not seem to indicate that really anything happened in this meeting other than Mark Miles and other executives went down there and met with the government, met with track officials. But hey, very interesting to see, especially since we talked about last week Formula One doing something very similar with Argentina. Maybe we could see some more major open-wheel races in South America coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Or not couple of weeks, couple of years is what I should say. Let's hold on. Let's hold on there just a little bit. Sorry. But anyway, on that note, let's go ahead and take our first break of the show. And when we come back, we're going to break down everything that happened this past week in the news for Supercars and NASCAR. We had a big development in the world of Supercars that's going to affect this weekend's races in Ruapania in Christchurch, New Zealand. So don't go anywhere. More Racing Report coming up after this. Welcome back to the Racing Report. My name is Rob Peeters. Thanks again so much for sticking with us through that break. It's time to talk about Supercars news because we did have a Supercars race last weekend, though it was shortened. And I talked about a lot of the news related to that shortened weekend last week. We talked about how they were going to shorten the race on Sunday and for fuel-saving concerns, but that race ended up not happening because there was a cyclone that hit New Zealand's North Island, and as a result, that canceled Saturday race that was scheduled for Taupo has now been moved to Ruapania. So, as a result, that this weekend's event was supposed to only see 3 races, but now they will see 4. Which is a big change for the first ever Supercars race at the Ruapania circuit in Christchurch. It's actually just west of Christchurch. I looked it up on Google Maps. It's not far from there. It's not far from downtown. So if you're in that area, be prepared. You're going to get an extra race. But obviously, all of our thoughts go out to everybody affected by that cyclone on New Zealand's Northern Island, because definitely we know cyclones, basically just like hurricanes, can be very destructive. So definitely thinking about everybody there. But that is a big change in the world of Supercars. But also something that's happening in the world of Supercars, as we've talked about the shock resignation from former CEO James Warburton, we learned something this past weekend, according to Speed Cafe, that new acting Supercars CEO Barclay Nettlefold has said the door is open for a commentary return for both Neil Crompton and Mark Skaife. Now, Speed Cafe also is reporting that Crompton's treatment is believed to have been a factor in Warburton's departure. That is a very interesting and little tiny nugget that I don't think should be overlooked. Now, obviously, this is not the main reason why James Warburton stepped down, but apparently, according to Speed Cafe, it was a part of what caused him to step down and leave. However, something that is also important to talk about when it comes to Skaife and Crompo potentially coming back to the commentary booth is that Nettlefold said neither would return on a full-time basis, basically saying he's offered them cameo roles, which they've previously reported, I should say, Speed Cafe has, that both Skaife and Crompton are not interested in cameo roles. They would prefer to be the full-time broadcasters of the series, but as of right now, we at least know that the current CEO is opening that door for a possible return. So, with that said, let's go ahead now and move on into the world of NASCAR, because we talked about before we took the break, how stuff seems to always break on Thursdays right after we record this show. And we learned on Thursday of last week that Alex Bowman was cleared to return to NASCAR competition and, in fact, did make his first start since the Circuit of the Americas race at Bristol this past weekend. Of course, unfortunately, he got caught up in an early race accident and was unable to finish the race, but still glad to see Bowman back. Glad to see that those vertigo symptoms have finally gone away and he's able to get back behind the wheel, because that had to have been a rough situation. And he talked about it during the press conferences, saying that he thought he was never going to get back into a race car ever again. He thought this was it for his career, but thankfully he is indeed back behind the wheel of the number 48 Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports and will be again this weekend at Kansas and subsequent weekends. But we continue to wish Alex Bowman the absolute best so that this does not happen again. Now, something also we talked about last week is that NASCAR has confirmed that it is indeed adjusting the stage lengths for next weekend's Cup race at Talladega in an effort to combat fuel strategy. So, the first stage will now end at lap 98, while the second and third stages will be 45 laps each, ending at lap 143 and lap 188, respectively. So, we'll see if this does anything. Maybe we do get rid of those fuel-saving portions of the race that fans seem to not like. We'll see. It's a long first stage and very short second and final stages. So we'll see what that does coming up here in a couple of weeks' time when the series comes to Talladega. Some lawsuit Joe Gibbs Racing, Chris Gabehart news. Joe Gibbs Racing has accused Chris Gabehart of violating his temporary restraining order after Gabehart was seen at Bristol last weekend. JGR has accused Gabehart of, quote, doing competition director level activities for Spire at Bristol on Saturday and Sunday. However, Gabehart and his representatives have asked the court to disregard JGR's claims, saying that Matt McCall is the competition director at Spire and that there is no reason for someone else to perform those duties. So, a very interesting update. Really don't have a lot more other than what both sides have said. Again, this is a very much he said, she said situation, and we'll have to keep monitoring it going forth, but that's the big update for you today. Final couple of pieces of NASCAR news. Austin Dillon was going to enter the upcoming O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Texas, driving the number 3 Chevrolet for RCR with sponsorship by Boot Barn. So we'll have another Cup driver racing in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series coming up here in a couple of weeks' time at Texas. That race is, I believe, at the end of April or first weekend of May. And we've also got some Truck Series news to talk about. Colleague Racing has announced that Parker Kligerman will drive its number 25 free agent truck during that race weekend at Texas. So Parker Kligerman going to get back behind the wheel of a race truck, not for Henderson Motorsports, but instead for Colleague Racing in their free agent number 25 Ram. So congratulations to Parker. I know my co-host and friend Josh Roller, who we do the Racing with Rob and Roller podcast with, is a big Parker Kligerman fan, and he was very happy to see that. But that's not the only piece of Colleague Racing Truck Series news to report on, though. Colleague Racing says that it has applied for a chase waiver for Corey LaJoie after LaJoie took over the number 10 truck not long ago after Daniel Dye resigned from his duties there. And LaJoie initially declared to receive Cup Series points because he had that one race deal in the Daytona 500 with RFK. But now that he's running full-time in the Truck Series, Colleague Racing would like for him to be able to participate in the chase if he were to make it. So, looks like he's, I think I saw somewhere he was like about 13th or something in points, maybe a little bit less. But either way, Colleague Racing making their case for why Corey LaJoie should be able to run for a Truck Series championship coming up later on this year. So that is it for the NASCAR news of the week. Like I said, a lot to cover, but we've also got a lot of stuff to cover coming up this weekend as well. But on the other side of the break, we're going to recap the most recent races that happened in the NASCAR world, in Supercars, also in the Cars Tour. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then also we're going to get you all set up and all ready to go for the mountain of races that are going to be on TV and streaming and all over the place coming up this weekend. So you don't want to miss any of that. Stay tuned right here. More Racing Report coming up after this. welcome back to the Racing Report. My name is Rob Peeters. Thanks again so much for sticking with us through that break. And like I said, right before we went to commercial, boy, do we have a lot to talk about this during this segment, because the NASCAR Cup Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and Truck Series were in Bristol this past weekend, and I thought it was a pretty good event overall. Had a great truck race, Christopher Bell getting the win there for Halmar Friesen Racing, so congratulations to that organization. That's a big deal. Halmar Friesen getting that second truck in victory lane by help with Christopher Bell. Obviously, we talked about this on the podcast as well, Racing with Robin Roller, where 7 Cup drivers were in last Friday night's truck race at Bristol, and that is apparently a record for the series, going back all the way to its inception in 1995, which I could not believe, but apparently that is solid. That is rock solid. There was 7 Cup drivers, the most ever in a truck series race dating back to 1995, and Christopher Bell, of course, was the winner on that. Now, a Cup driver also won the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. That race was definitely dominated by Cup drivers. You had Kyle Larson winning the opening 2 stages, basically dominating most of the race, but then losing at the very end to Connor Zilisch, who eked out the win in the number 1 car for Junior Motorsports. It's another victory for Junior Motorsports. Feels like they just can't lose this season between Justin Allgaier and between all their other drivers. It just seems like they are on a tear this year. And then in the Cup Series, we had a first-time winner. Ty Gibbs finally got it done after holding off Ryan Blaney on a overtime restart to win his first career Cup race at Bristol. It was a big day for him. Obviously, he took his mom for a ride around in the side of the car. He pointed to remember his father, Coy, who, if you don't remember, you don't recall, passed away in 2022 right after Ty won his inaugural Xfinity Championship, which is, of course, now known as the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. So it was a very emotional victory lane there for Ty Gibbs, finally getting that monkey off his back, finally getting into victory lane. And it looked like, at least to me, most of this year, that Ty was getting to that point. It seemed like it was inevitable that Ty was going to finally get the monkey off of his back and get a Cup Series victory after literally dominating in ARCA and in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, coming on his way up to Cup. It's obviously took him a long time running after starting his rookie campaign in 2023 to now finally getting his first career win here in 2026. But hey, better late than never, and he did hold off Ryan Blaney, who apparently has one of the worst pit crews in all of the NASCAR Cup Series. Still, it was a close photo finish with Blaney nearly getting Ty Gibbs, but of course Gibbs had the outside momentum, and that thrusted him to the lead. So that was a big deal down there in Bristol. But then in Topol with Supercars, we had Brody Kostecki winning the first race, while Ryan Wood scored the first ever Supercars victory for Toyota when he won that second race in Topol. Of course, the third race was canceled and will be run as part of the Christchurch 440 coming up this weekend. But obviously, it was a big deal for Ryan Wood and Toyota and everybody at the Walkinshaw garage area. How else can you celebrate? You just got to celebrate that moment. That's a big deal. Toyota, it's its first season ever in Supercars, and it only took him a couple of events to get into the top step of the podium. So congratulations to everybody on that team, and congratulations to Ryan Wood, of course, for winning that race. But that wasn't it. We also had the Cars Tour. We're in Nashville in the late models in the LMSC. Caden Quapple was the victor, and that honestly surprised me because I was watching this race after the Xfinity or the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, and I thought, Quapple, he was racing in Bristol. What's he doing in Nashville now? Oh, that's his younger brother, Caden. Okay, makes sense. They look very similar, by the way. In case you haven't noticed, they very much resemble his dad. But he got the victory there in LMSE, and then in Pro Late Model, Parker Eatman scored the victory there for in Cars Tour in Nashville. Now let's take a look at some of the races that are coming up this weekend. We've got a lot of them, so stay tuned here. It's going to be a little bit rapid fire because we are running out of time today. But NASCAR is in Kansas. They've got the ARCA race on Saturday at 12:30 Eastern Time, followed by the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And then the Cup Series is set to go green at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Sunday. And that race will actually be followed on Fox by the IndyCar Series in Long Beach Grand Prix coming up this weekend as well. That race is scheduled to go, or at the very least, the broadcast window is scheduled to start at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, so keep it on Fox, I guess, all Sunday afternoon because you'll be able to watch NASCAR right into IndyCar. Also in Long Beach, you'll have the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Series. That's always a thriller. Love to watch IMSA in Long Beach. That race will take place on Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and that race will stream on Peacock. Supercars, like I said, they are in Christchurch for their first ever appearance at the Ruapuna circuit. Race 1 is going to be Friday at 12:35 a.m. Eastern Time. Race 2 is Friday at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. So Friday, if you're up at after midnight, and then if you're still up, you get to watch 2 supercar races in one day. Then race 3 is going to take place Saturday at 12:10 a.m. Eastern, and then race 4 will be Saturday at 11:05 p.m. Eastern. So about a 12-hour gap there for those of us watching here in the United States. But that's not the only, again, so many races. So we got 4 supercars races, bunch of races going on in Kansas, bunch of races going on in Long Beach. Of course, not Indy Next. Indy Next will return in a couple of weeks' time when they go to the IndyCar Grand Prix at IMS. But we've also got the WEC, the World Endurance Championship, 6 hours of Imola. That is going to be Sunday at 7 a.m. Eastern. That will be streaming live on HBO Max here in the United States. But then also on Flow Racing this weekend, we've got a couple of high-limit sprint car events. First, they're going to Lakeside Speedway at Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Saturday, they'll be at Lucas Oil Speedway in Missouri, again at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And the Cars Tour West also will be on Flow Racing this weekend. They will be at Stockton 99 Speedway in California. That race is set for 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday. So lots of racing this weekend. You won't want to miss a single one. I've just given you where to watch all of them. And then, of course, there's other stuff. There's some British touring car stuff as well. If for the real sickos like you and me, if you want to watch that stuff. But like I said, lots of racing on tap, lots of stuff talking about, and we'll talk about all of this next week on another episode of The Racing Report. But as I say, as always, thank you for watching. We really appreciate your support and everything. And for WTHR Plus, my name is Rob Peeters, and this has been another episode of The Racing Report.